Ys is a series that is very, very important to me, despite only discovering it around 2 years ago. Over that time, I've grown to love and cherish the games, and I want nothing more than to see more people enjoy the series. So, with October finally here and the release of Ys 10 fast approaching, I've decided to dedicate this month to making videos that will hopefully help people get into Ys. I guess you could call this the month of Ys, or Ystober, maybe? Anyways, the topic of this video is on where to start the series. I know it might seem a bit overwhelming with the amount of games available, but trust me, it's not too hard to understand. So enough talking, let's get straight to it. So to start off, what even is Ys? Well, to very briefly explain, Ys is a long-running action RPG series made by Nihon Falcom. It revolves around the protagonist, Adol Christian, and the countless adventures he's been on over the course of his life. The games themselves are actually based on journals that Adol wrote after his travels, which is why a new game can take place way before the last one. They're just finding needs in no particular order, and new ones get discovered again and again. But anyways, moving on. As of the making of this video, there are 10 canon games in the series, as seen here. I know at first glance this might seem like a lot, but here's something important you should know. With how the series is set up, you can play almost any of these games first with no prior knowledge, and be completely fine. Take it from the guy who started with the last game in the timeline. But now you're probably wondering, if it doesn't matter that much, then what game do I play first? Well, to answer that question, we should start off with what not to play first. Yeah, I'm just gonna say this right now, do not play Ys 5 as your first game. Not only is this the one game to have never been officially translated, it's only available on SNES or PS2. Not to mention, it's also just not that great. Don't get me wrong, there are some good aspects to it. The music is good most of the time, and the characters are pretty interesting too, but overall the game just doesn't feel like an Ys game, you know? And trust me, feeling is really important for this series. Starting here definitely wouldn't be a very good idea. The next game you wouldn't want to start with is Ys 2. This is the only game in the series that's a direct continuation. Like, it starts mere moments after Ys 1, so you'd basically be missing out on half the story. The game is really good, but without playing Ys 1 first, you'd kinda just be like,
what the hell is this?
The last game you don't want to start with is Ys 9. I know I started with it, but just hear me out. Ys 9, as of right now, is the latest game timeline-wise. While the story can definitely be enjoyed without having any prior knowledge, trust me when I say knowing the things that get referenced later on in this game improved the experience so much. I replayed it 2 years later and ended up loving the game even more than I already did. So yeah, you definitely want to save Ys 9 for last. Alright, with that out of the way, we can finally get to the games you should start with. The first one being... Yeah, I'm pretty sure you all saw this coming. Even if you know literally nothing about Ys, there's still a pretty good chance you've at least seen this game before. It's the most popular and well-liked game in the series, and honestly, a pretty good game to start the series off with. The gameplay, while not being my personal favorite, feels genuinely amazing and captures the fast-paced feeling of Ys perfectly. Same goes for the music, which is typical for all Ys games really. The whole vibe of the game just makes you want to explore as much as possible. It's like Adol's adventurous spirit just seeps into your very being. Or maybe I just like these games way too much. Now, if you feel like going in release order and experiencing the evolution of the series, then you'd definitely want to start with Ys 1 and 2 Chronicles Plus. This is a remake of the first two Ys games released way back in 1987. Starting from here means you'd get to experience Adol's adventures from the very beginning, as well as learning about lore that'll be important not just in the very next game, but across the entire series. Pretty important stuff, you know? Now, you might be a bit put off by the combat at first. Just running into everything doesn't seem like the greatest combat system in the world. But honestly, the simplicity of the bump system makes the game way more fun than you think. The amazing soundtrack in the background, running around, killing enemies, and solving puzzles in this game is genuinely really enjoyable enjoyable. You can dive in and just get immersed in this world really easily. Pretty optimal starting point, honestly. Now, the next games you can jump into pretty easily are Ys Origin and Ys the Oath and Felghana. Both of these games use the Nepistom engine introduced in Ys 6, and improve upon it to the point where these are considered some of the best games in the series. In fact, Oath and Felghana was advertised as Ys Perfected. Falcom knew they cooked with this. Now, Ys Origin actually takes place long before the events of Ys 1. So if you're looking to go in timeline order, that's where you want to start. As for Oath and Felghana though, it's probably the most self-centered game in the series. Starting here with no prior knowledge is really no issue at all, and you will definitely enjoy your time with it. Plus, it's arguably got some of the best music in the whole series. Pair that with the top tier gameplay and you've pretty much got a 10 out of 10 experience on your hands. Now, the last game I think you can start the series with really easily is actually Ys7. Might seem like a random pick, but hear me out. Ys7 was the game that introduced the party system to the series, and considering that it stuck around for so long, it was a pretty well-liked evolution on the gameplay of Ys. The games after this one improve upon this gameplay style a lot, so it'd be better to experience that gradual improvement yourself, you know? There is a returning character that debuted in a previous game, but honestly, it's not too big of a deal. The game's great all around, and as a first experience to the series, I'm sure it'd be an amazing ride. Alright, now you might have noticed, there's two games I didn't mention yet, Memories of Celceta and Ys 6. Truth be told, you could play either of these games as your first and be totally fine, but in my opinion, I think you should save these for a bit later on. As for Celceta, if you don't care about playing in order, I think it'd be best to play a different party system game first, like 7 or 8. You'll be more used to the party system by then, and it'll be more enjoyable all around. Now, as for Ys 6, it could really go either way. If you aren't going in timeline order, you could play this first, and then the other Nepistom engine games. But at the same time, there is some stuff in this game that, as a newcomer, might kinda piss you off. But I can't falling. So, in my opinion, try out Oath and Felghana or Ys Origin first, then go back to play Ys 6. And yeah, that's pretty much everything I had to say. Getting into a brand new series can be kinda challenging, but hopefully this video can help on getting you started. I know they weren't the most detailed explanations, but hey, keeping it simple is way more effective when trying to explain stuff, you know? Anyways, that's all for me. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like and definitely subscribe. I'm aiming to have an Ys video out at least once a week this month, so stay posted. Alright, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.